All right, welcome everyone to our FFA and Leadership Development STAR Professional Development session. We've got 4 really great presentations from experienced, successful teachers that we're excited about, and they're going to help us prepare as FFA advisors for this upcoming school year. A couple of quick reminders before we get started with the presentations. First of all, you all should be muted throughout these presentations. If you have some questions, I ask that you would submit those through the chat function. You can send those directly to the presenter or send them for everyone to see so that they can respond to everyone. And then if there's time at the end, we will allow for a Q&A, part of the time after we get through all 4 presenters. We want to make sure and honor everyone's time as best we can. I also want to remind you this video is being recorded, and so we will make that available later on through a YouTube channel and also send that as a follow-up email, and it'll be shared through a Google Drive link. At the conclusion of the session, I also ask that everyone will take some time. We'll send you a link either also through the chat and an email. If you'll respond to a quick survey form to kind of help evaluate this session, help us prepare and make improvements for future sessions. And lastly, don't forget that we have 4 remaining sessions, including one tomorrow that's related to ag mechanics. It's going to be really good, and it's going to be tomorrow at 1 p.m. If you have any questions about any of those upcoming sessions, just shoot me an email. But with that, we're going to go ahead and get started with our first presenter, who is Jessica Barnes from HERA, and she's going to talk to us about program of activities. So Jessica, you can go ahead and unmute and start sharing.
Okay, I should be sharing my screen now. Let me pull it up to full screen. Mason, you see that?
Yep, good to go.
Okay. I just want to first and foremost thank Cameron, Emily, and Mason for putting these on. You guys listened to what Oklahoma teachers were wanting, and you put stuff together. Thank you for taking the initiative and doing that. I think I speak for all of us when I say that. Today, I'm going to be talking on program of activities and all. I'm a little rusty with teaching, so be nice to me. Program of activities. Okay. What is a program of activities? This is the map of activities that the chapter will conduct throughout the year. So this is your chapter officers putting a pen to paper and actually planning those events beforehand, normally at an officer retreat. These activities will ideally fit National FFA quality standards, and they will fit into those divisions, which are going to be growing leaders, building communities, and strengthening ag. So ideally, we want them to fit into those 3 divisions. Why is the POA important? A POA, in my mind, is the most important thing an FFA chapter can do. I know that I'm going to receive a lot of criticism for saying that, but I came from Indianola, and we really had a program, shout out to Jerry Hamilton if you're on here, that taught me to value my community and to be able to contribute to that. So I wanted to do that with my own FFA programs. Reasons why a POA is important. It helps to build a strong culture for an FFA program. And what I mean by that is this will help those students be like, I'm proud to be from the HERA FFA because we conduct these events, because we've been national chapter the past 5 years. This is really, the program of activities is something that brings all of your students in. This isn't just your officers. This isn't just your students who show animals. This is something that brings every single one of those students in, hopefully. It also strengthens your relationship with the community. Yours is in your program. This probably should have been the top one I put because this has been the biggest benefit that I've seen with conducting a program of activities that is quality, because the community is seeing what you're doing. They're wanting to be involved in your FFA chapter. It also helps your FFA members to become productive citizens, so they can see that they can go out into their community and make a difference, no matter if they're a teenager or later on in their life. This gives shy students a way to get plugged into FFA. Like I said, when I bring those 8th and 9th graders in, I know that not everybody's going to give a speech. Not everybody's going to judge livestock. However, everyone can attend our recruitment events, our ice cream social, our back to school bash. They can attend our fun run. They can help with our campus beautification project, all of these things, every single one of our FFA members can come to. And it's a lot easier for me to bring those kids in that really aren't plugged in those first couple of weeks and say, hey, we have back to school bash coming up. All it is a hot dog social. We'll tell you about what we're going to do throughout the year, and kind of you can learn about ag. You can bring your parents if you want to. It'll be a couple hours. We're providing food. What do you have to do on a Tuesday night? So the program of activities really brings in those students who may be hesitant. It also helps us practice what we preach, which is living to serve. A lot of your program of activity, hopefully, is going to be very community service based and will help us to accomplish that. It also helps us to recruit future students, especially your August events and your events in the spring. So these are maybe ending our signing up for classes, or it may be signing up for classes at the beginning of the year. So we really want to recruit those students who are 6th and 7th graders, and those students that we've targeted that we really would like it in the FFA program that are high school students haven't enrolled yet. We want to make sure we're bringing those students in, and having a strong POA helps to do that. Okay, so how do you plan one? First and foremost, the first thing I do when we are going to plan a POA, normally we do it at officer retreat. Obviously that didn't happen this year. It will happen the first week of classes. But normally what I do is 2 weeks before our officer retreat, I will send my officers 2 things. The first thing is National FFA's divisions and quality standards. Like I said earlier, those are growing leaders, building communities, and strengthening ag. Those are the 3 divisions. There are 15 quality standards, 5 in each division. I want those students to look over those, understand what each division and each quality standard is, and then come up with at least 1 event for each quality standard. So when they show up to officer retreat, all 6 of my officers will have 15 activities that they've prepared. The second thing I'm going to send them is the National Chapter Award Recognition Guide. This is also on National FFA. If you haven't checked out their National Chapter page, that's where you're going to find all of this information. So I send them that recognition guide, and what that is all of, I would say, the best activities from across the nation from the past year. So this really gets your officers thinking out of the box for those activities, into activities that are going to help strengthen your community. Could be events that they are already doing, okay? So really stress to your officers, they don't have to reinvent the wheel. If they are already having ice cream social, that is an awesome event. Let's target that as a recruitment event and invite those other kids in and make it fit one of these quality standards. If they show up and have alumni leadership camp as their activity under leadership, that's a great starting point. That's not really what we're looking for. Push them to pursue other ones, maybe something that your chapter can actually do. Alumni leadership camp is great, but we want to come up with stuff on our own as well. So let's talk for a second about the divisions and quality standards that these are going to fit into. If you have done a National Chapter Award, which I assume most of us have, you know that you only have to submit 9 of these activities. However, I would strongly, strongly encourage you, if you can, to carry out every single one of these quality standards. And the reason why I say that is because then you have 15 quality activities to choose from when your chapter officers are writing that national chapter application. This proved really great for us this year. COVID-19 knocked out all of our events from March until May. We still had 11 to choose from to make it to that 9. So I would really push and encourage you to try to do an activity in each one of these quality standards. That's what makes you encompass a quality POA. So under growing leaders, you have leadership. Like I said, alumni leadership camp is good for that. This year we did a mentoring program for leadership. You also have healthy lifestyle. This could be fun runs, morning yoga, any way you want to take that. Scholarship. This could be specific scholarships that your chapter is offering. It could also be things like some sort of PALS program for them to be able to mentor students to do that academically. Personal growth. This is going to be like a financial literacy workshop. Career success. This year for us, this was bringing different speakers in and hosting a speaker series. Environmental. That's going to be like a paper recycling program, community cleanup, something along those lines. Human resources, these are really going to be your community service ones in the middle. So human resources is pretty much anything that helps humans in your community or state. Citizenship, kind of along the same lines. Those two you can kind of swap back and forth with. Stakeholder engagement. So this is going to be people that are in your community that help your FFA program and support it, how you're going to engage them or recognize them, however you want to do that. Economic development. This is often a really tough one for people to come up with. I'll give you a couple ideas that we've done. We've hosted a career fair that was also bringing in local businesses. We've done a scavenger hunt around local businesses. I would really like to have a community-wide garage sale at some point. I don't know if that'll happen. That's next on the list. Strengthening Ag is our last one. Support group, that's going to be, could be booster club, could be teachers that help, anybody that's supporting your FFA chapter. Chapter recruitment, that's pretty straightforward. That's going to be our back to school bash every single year. We do slip and slides, we do ice cream and hot dogs, we bring everybody in, we invite the whole school. That's one of our best events of the year. Safety, this is a really great one to tack on to maybe your Thanksgiving or Christmas socials, because you can bring in local firefighters, maybe do a fire safety thing. You can do food safety there. It's a good one to tack on to other events. I can't see, but I know the two behind are Ag Advocacy and Ag Literacy. We've done a letter writing campaign for those. We've done Ag Days for younger students. Anything you want to do that promotes Ag is going to fit into those. Okay, so let's talk about how we do that. I told you when we have officers show up, they have 15 different activities. The first thing I do when we get to officer retreat, kids are moved in, is we have our first of 2 POA sessions. For the first POA session, I'm going to put 3 big Post-its on the wall, and they are going to be our separate divisions. The students will take their 15 activities, put those in the corresponding divisions. We have not broken these into quality standards yet. These are just all of our ideas. Once we get past that, you can see it's not pretty, but everybody's kind of put everything down in the places that they think. We'll talk through these. We'll decide our favorite ones, our most creative ones, maybe ones that will be easier at certain times of the year we may put down. And then we will go through and we will actually select which activities fit into which quality standards. We'll probably have 6 different activities for our support group one, but we will select our best one that we think that would fit and that fits our chapter there. It's really important to go through and put these in the corresponding quality standards, so you do not do 4 safety events during the year. That's not going to help you when you fill out national chapter. That's great. If you want to do more, do it. Make sure you're hitting those 15 though that are in the different quality standards. As for timeline, what we do after we select all of our activities is we go through and we write out all of our months, and then we put 1 to 2 events per month. I would strongly suggest that you put as many activities as you can in the fall, because at least for us, if you are doing lots of livestock shows, lots of public speaking, and lots of CDE competitions, you're not going to have much time in the spring. So I would say try to front load that as much as possible and put as many events as you can in the fall. However, I do like the consistency of having at least 1 activity per month. So we're going to write those out, and then what we're going to do is we are going to go through and we are going to put those with the corresponding months, and then at the officer meeting before that month, that's when we will actually select the date. A lot of people like to select the dates at the beginning of the year. That is totally great and fine. But for us, it works a little better if we know the actual activities, and it helps if we're a little closer to that date. So we'll select that the month before, and then we'll let kids know. Okay, so when you're actually planning the event, I think I'm doing okay on time. I got a couple minutes. When you're actually planning the event, I select 2 officers, 2 to 3, depending on the size of the event. These are our officers that will be leading the event. One of those is going to be the person who came up with it. And then they're going to have people coming alongside of them that they work well with. And then they will have committee members. So we structure our committees to the 3 divisions: growing leaders, building communities, strengthening ag. You'll have the committee members in there, and then you'll have the other officers working alongside of them. Ways to promote events could be flyers. If you haven't used canva.com, write that down. You're going to want to use that. It's an easy way to make digital and print flyers, and it's free. We have social media accounts that we promote our events on, and then we also announce on chapter announcements at the beginning of class and broadcast those on our boards. Here's some activities that have worked for us. Like I said, I will link this, so you will have this in the Google Drive if you want to review this later, some things that have worked for us. And then national chapter application is my last one. I actually love the national chapter application, which you won't hear very many people say probably. It's like a 20-page application. I know I sound crazy, but POA is my absolute favorite thing in the FFA, so that's kind of our wrap-up thing. Some 4 quick tips. Plan ahead when you are planning with those officers. Have them set those goals. That doesn't have to be at chapter officer retreat. It can be at the one beforehand. Take pictures, promote your event, and debrief after the event with your officers. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Jessica. That's really good. Great information, a lot of it. And we will make sure and try and share her PowerPoint in our Google Drive file, so you'll be able to access that later. We're going to roll right into Mr. Turner. David Turner at OWASO is going to talk to us next about more details related to officer retreats. So you can take it away, Mr. Turner.
All right, thank you, Mason. And Mason's going to share a screen, which is also he sent to everyone as well, and it's just a packet of information. It's really just kind of a guide, and I'd be glad to talk to anybody about this outside of this, because I've done this workshop several times. So usually I have like 45 minutes and it's in person. So we're going to very much just condense it and just kind of hit the high points. Please feel free to call me. I've talked over the years to a lot of young people just about planning their officer retreats, and I do not mind to do that at all. As you'll find that most teachers that have experience in something do not mind sharing that. So a really good segue right from Jessica on POA to chapter officer retreats, because most time it's done at an officer retreat. So the main purpose obviously is to plan, but probably to take that a step further, it's really about really coming together as an officer team, to really bond. And so I'm just going to throw some things out there. I'm not going to stick to what's on the screen necessarily. I'm just going to throw some things out there that kind of strike me. So there again, I've got 15 minutes. So I guess first and foremost, just don't go to the ag building. I mean, that's like the last thing to do. If you get anything from this, is when I do my planning for my POA, just don't go to the ag building. Go somewhere else. You can stay in town. Like for instance, this year, there's what we typically do, and then there's what we're going to try to make work for this year. And so we're going to basically stay around town, but we're probably not going to do any major planning sessions right in the ag building. You can go to a school board meeting room, or to where the city council meets, or if you have a hotel in town, they may have a meeting room. Just something to get outside the ag building, get those kind of creative juices kind of flowing a little bit. So I usually ask how many people went on chapter officer retreats. I'm actually surprised at how many people didn't. I guess I really didn't either. That's a long time ago for me when I was in ag. But we pretty much have been doing officer retreats since I started teaching. I really believe, I'm going to steal a line from Jessica, but I believe it's the most important thing you do is go on officer retreat. So we can fight about that later on. But who goes? It has to be mandatory. Everybody has to go. If you don't take everybody, I don't care what the excuse may be. What you'll find is that you go spend 3 or 4 days, or just 2 or 3, or just one good day with as a group, and that cohesive unit really starts to gel. Whoever didn't go, they are left out the entire year. There's all kinds of like inside jokes and stuff that will happen all year long, and they'll always feel like they're on the outside looking in. So I make it mandatory, but let's kind of think through that. In order to make it mandatory, you have to plan for that as well. So most of us elect our officers at the end of the school year. You need to release to those officer candidates, hey, this is an expectation. Core, national or state convention, if you want to make them, or not make them, but require they go to alumni camp as an officer, you release those 4 or 5 things that this is mandatory if you get office. That way, when they kind of go, man, I don't think I can make that, Mr. Turner, you go, well, yeah, you are. You have to go. So it's really important that everybody goes. And I'd also jump in there and say on the who, if you have a 2 or 3 teacher program, everybody needs to go to this. Even though you may have one that's kind of the leadership guy, and you have one that's kind of the ag med guy, that's fine. But for this particular event, because of the POA, like Jessica's talking about, really everybody needs to be involved in this event. And there again, just for that kind of getting together and gelling as one unit. Okay, so I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit. Obviously, there's things like, make sure if you happen to have, this year we have an all-female team at Owasso. We think through, me and Mr. Holloway thought through that the other day, and some things that we're not gonna do if we take those girls somewhere. Like, we are going to Skytick Lake for one afternoon. One, we can't spend the night because we're not allowed to as our school right now. But two, we're not going to go swimming, because we're not going. Two guys are going to take 6 girls and go swimming. Just it can be innocent, but you just don't want to put yourself in that position. So we're going to be there for the environment, on the lake, the cabin, the stuff like that. But then we're going to leave at some point before it gets too late, and we may do like a boating deal or something. But we're just not going to go swimming. So you just got to be smart about those things that you plan. It makes it easier, obviously, if you have a mix of boys and girls on your team. But when you don't, you just have to work with what you got. Here's probably a big one. It can be expensive to go on offshore retreat. Depends on how much money you want to spend. But I've been questioned before by administration and school board a little bit. What is this exactly? So you need to be able to tell them what it is. If you just go, hey, we're just going to go have some fun, they might say, well, this won't make it quite so expensive. So I really sell it to my administration that it's really important that we go. If they have 2-a-days to get ready for football season, and they have spring practice for all your collegiate teams and, just stuff like that, they have a preseason, so to speak. And so this very much is our 2 or 3 day preseason to get ready for the year. And I keep going back to what Jessica talked about, because probably the big thing we do at offshore retreat, the thing I want to make sure we get done, is playing your POA. And then you want to have fun as well. And so I'm going to jump off the screen just for a minute as far as what Mason's scrolling through there for me. But every aspect of offshore retreat is planned for me, and everything from meals. We typically cook while we're there, because even assigning those 2 kids to cook a meal, they've got to work together. Some of the meals are horrible because they don't bring the right stuff, and they don't think to bring salt, or they don't think to bring some of the simple things. We've even had where they plan a meal and didn't really plan for that one item that wasn't going to be at the cabin, so they didn't bring it, so we really couldn't do it. So sometimes we feast like kings, and sometimes it's kind of famine. But either way, we laugh and joke about it and have a good time. And we bring lots of snacks, because that way we can all at least survive on snacks for like 3 days. But every aspect on who rides in which vehicle, I don't let them decide anything. If they do decide, at some point I jump in, because every aspect of this is them coming together as a team, them gelling a little bit. It's learning. I'm jumping off my list a little bit, but every aspect is planned. So if we have those 2 kids, they're kind of a clique. I make sure I divide them. Hey, you jump in that car and you jump in that car, and I tell them why. Y'all get to know the other ones a little better. Make sure those seniors, you talk to them beforehand, or juniors maybe, whatever, your upperclassmen. Y'all are really setting the stage for these younger officers. Make sure that you guys include them in everything that you do, because you've been an officer for 2 or 3 years. And so make sure you bring them along for the ride, so to speak. So, okay, I'm going to move on a little bit. When, obviously summertime, but personally, I like to go really quickly after school lets out. And I have a couple of reasons for that. One is some of those things you need to do for your POA need to happen during the summer. And so I don't want to wait till July 31st to go on most years. Most years I really prefer to go ahead and go, maybe a week or 2 after school's out, but you also don't want to wait too long, because then summer vacations start, and you want to be respectful of that. So if I'm going to make it mandatory, I also want to make it convenient, to go at the right time, so to speak. I usually release my date like back in March. Like, this is officer retreat for you guys that want to run for office. Just make sure that this is clear to your family that you're not going to go to Disney World during this time. And so you have to kind of backtrack and make things, if you're going to make things mandatory, they have to know ahead of time. Little things that I like to pass on to younger ag teachers. May, even though it's a great time to go, I try to wait, like closer to June 1st or so. May is tornado season. And I have been in some very secluded areas with not much around, and some pretty bad storms trail through, and you really don't have anywhere to go. And so I also think ahead, if I'm going to be somewhere like that you have some type of shelter, at least a plan. I've been in some pretty scary situations where I've honestly had to go take shelter at the closest ag teacher's house. It called just really, that's nice to have that network of ag teachers in the state to real quickly jump on the phone and go, hey, I've got 6 kids down here and we are 3 hours from home and we need a place to go. The storm's coming in. And so that's kind of been a fun story as well, but not at the time. It's pretty scary for me as an ag teacher. What else on when? Where? Just get away from town. Get away from. You want to go far enough that other people can't show up, because I've had that happen before too. So get far enough that it's really not feasible for anybody else just to show up, and you're not probably going to run into your other FFA members because they can be a little left out. That senior that didn't get an office, So it's good just to get away. Why? Obviously, I use it probably more for that team training than anything else outside of POA. Is just that you're constantly talking to them about professionalism, etiquette, those kind of deals. So I'm going to run through just my notes real quick and just try to hit a few more things so I'm running out of time. Obviously, if you're going to stay in a cabin, just make sure you're able to divide the boys and girls and just think through those things. I've rented a cabin one time, didn't even think about where we actually would meet and gather up. There was really no living space. It was just bedrooms. And so we basically had to meet outside, which is fine if it's not too hot. So make sure your table is big enough to seat everybody. Those little details can make your experience go much, much better. And obviously they want to have fun. So something close enough to go have some fun in the afternoons, that's important as well. So I don't think officers should have any costs associated with CORE. I call it CORE, by the way, Chapter Officer Retreat. I've called it that, I guess, since year 1 for me. And 1 year we did shirts, and it's just stuck after that. So we call it CORE. Make an agenda, because you can get lost in just having fun and kind of get off track. So make an agenda kind of hour by hour, know what you're going to do and try to get accomplished. I like to design T-shirts for it because they just love that. It's like going to alumni camp and having a T-shirt. Having a T-shirt for the experience is just fun for them. So I take Green Hen quiz questions, and I'm constantly quizzing them. Like, if we expect our other kids to know this, you need to know these facts about FFA. Sometimes it's a refresher course, and sometimes it's like, you really need to know this because you didn't catch that when you came through ag when you were younger. I assign cooking deals. Make sure that they are assigned the cooking. They're assigned to that. We don't just go at it at random. Know your way around the area. I already kind of mentioned that. In case you do have to seek shelter if it's obviously in May and June. And then I would just kind of wrap up this. I got like 2 minutes left. There's no way I could. 15 minutes. I'm already out of time. I have binders full of stuff, just like some people have binders full of hog stuff or sheep stuff, and it's something I've enjoyed doing. So I've kept all the stuff. I have it on flash drives as well. I have it where I can send it to you. Everything from permission slips, to release, to just fun sheets that kind of guides as far as get to know you sheets and different ways of doing that. So my point being is that my email address is pretty simple. It's david.turner@owasops.org. That's david.turner@owasops.org. And then most of you have my phone number. If not, it's pretty easy to get a hold of. So please reach out to me if you want to know more about Chapter Officer Retreats, and if I can help you even plan it. Thank you very much, Mason. I do not mind that at all. So he's put my email address on there. Y'all reach out to me because I think I got like 1 minute left. So I'll just go ahead and turn it back over to Mason so he can stay on track with the other presenters.
Thanks a lot, David. That was really good. I know it's fast, but I will reiterate to everybody, any one of these subjects, if you want to get more information, reach out to any of our 4 presenters. I know Jessica has a lot she'd like to talk about in regards to Officer Retreat, just like David and POA, and likewise with Lindsay and Robbie. And so we'll go ahead and transition forward. And our next presenter is Lindsay Horbert at Lawton. She's going to talk about ways to try and motivate students. This is an important year, we know, and so we're excited to hear about that. And so I'm going to let her unmute herself and take off from there.
Well, thank you, Mason. And I think this is probably one of the hardest things that I've noticed as a teacher is trying to get students to want to. And so thinking about what we can add to make students want to, I think is hard. And especially now with the situation, we lost them in March and they went on to do whatever. And now we're going to come back and we might not even see them for who knows what this next few weeks are going to look like. And so I think it's a challenging time, just to be a teacher, but also to be a student and try to figure out what we do here. And so I'll give you a little background. We try to start kids with unity. So Lawton, we are extra special. We'll go with that word. Extra special. We serve 4 middle schools and 3 high schools, and none of these kids see each other during the day. And so there's 4 ag teachers in 3 different locations. And so it is a challenge to provide unity across the board to get those students. School rivalry is real, and it's real in a school system, and to try to get those students to come in and bond together and try to work on something that's worth working for. And so we really try to get students to come together, and we work on that by a great POA. We are the Lawton FFA chapter, even though it is 7 schools. It's not each school is their own. And so we really try to work together on an officer retreat that sets the officers up for a good year. And then that allows those students to go back to the classroom and say, look, we've got some really awesome things planned. We really want you to come and join us. We really want you to work for that and to come and be a part of our group. And so a few things that I've noticed over time, and I'll try to work through some things here. Sometimes I found that once you build a relationship with students, and I think that's one of the biggest things for me and on student motivation, is sometimes I don't ever give them an option. And I know that sounds funny or sounds kind of mean, I guess, but I've never had a student come back and say, man, I really wish you would have given me an option, because they really enjoyed the opportunity that was given to them. And so sometimes I feel like students need no option. It's just an opportunity. And so I've never had them tell me no, really. 99% of the time they're going to say, okay, I'll try that just because you asked me to. And so I think to reach out as ag teachers and even young ag teachers, as you're building those relationships with students, I think that's where the motivation comes, is that relationship with you and you to say, hey, I think you'd be really great at public speaking. I know you're really scared about it, but I think this opportunity is for you. You like to talk a lot in class. We can transfer this opportunity for you through FFA. And so there's a lot of times that I try not to give them an option. There's lots of opportunity, but no option as to get involved. And so that has helped me a lot, and not being afraid to hear the word no. I think that is a hard concept for teachers and people in general, to not be afraid for a kid to tell you no. Because if you keep trying over time, I think that they'll give in. Something that we've done, I don't know if anybody else has trouble with fundraising and like getting kids to sell blue and gold and those kind of things, but we've had a really hard time here getting that done. And so something we've done to provide motivation for our students, since we are at 7 schools, we provide a traveling trophy to the school whose kid sells the most product. And so that kid gets their name on a traveling trophy forever. It has the year, their name, what high school, and so, or what middle school. And so that has provided some ground, and we just started that this year. We also provide a buckle cup. We have a whole bunch of city kids. Our kids are not your typical ag kid, but these kids decided that they loved the Yeti cups that have the buckles on them. They are expensive. So if that is an issue, I understand, but find them something that they like. And so this buckle cup was given to the overall top salesman, not just the individual high school top salesman. So we didn't buy 3 of them. We bought 1 of them. And so they got the traveling trophy at their school, and then they got the buckle cup for that student. And it was a fancy cup, and the kids took to that, providing an opportunity for them to achieve something. And I know that we think about a lot of times how FFA is about the experience when it's all said and done, but I think whenever we think about tangible things kids can achieve while they're learning those life lessons, showing livestock is, for kids now, is about winning banners, but in the future it's about the lessons they learned. And I think that's a lot of things, if we can provide something for them on a tangible level locally, then later when they look back, they can they'll have the things that we hope to instill in them. They will have those, but have something to work for now. And so that's the reason we went with a fundraiser type thing like that. The other thing that, a couple other things, national convention, I know a lot of chapters go every year. Lawton has not been fortunate to do that. And so we only take kids that qualify to go. And so that has really pushed our students to want to be motivated to go, but also motivated to do well to earn the right to go. And we don't get to go every year, but we've been fortunate the last several years to have a great set of students and have really worked for that opportunity to go and to be a part of that national competitive side for our chapter. And so big incentives, I think, is also a great motivation for students. What can they earn? How do they progress through the chapter? Not only attend really cool events, but what does that do for them on their FFA experience? One thing that we do like to do and to get students involved, and no different than like a back to school bash or something like that, we have a calf fry, which is our first big event, and it is by donation dinner, and we ask our officers to provide silent auction items, but we also allow students to, if they want to donate to that, if they want to go out and gather items, they're allowed to do that. But we have seen more motivation out of that type of thing for students wanting to come in, help us, have a free dinner, visit, meet with those older students and those type of things. And so all of our 8th graders come from a middle school into the high school setting, and so they don't know any of the high schoolers, and so we use that as an opportunity to integrate those students and get them a buddy, basically find them a friend that they can reach to now that they're freshmen, and use that as our first big activity. We usually do that in September, to hopefully get parents and students and community members together to get us motivated, kicked off in the right direction. So we try to use that. And then we also do a fall festival for Green Hands. It's a dance. It's a barn dance. We use that on a Friday night. We serve hot chocolate. We roast hot dogs over open fire. And we do it at our school farm in the middle of town. We just bring some fire pits, and then the kids roast marshmallows, make s'mores, those type of things. But we recognize all of our Green Hands there, and make it kind of an informal event. Green Hand chapter degrees, discovery degrees, all of those things, because we require a lot of the pieces to check off those degrees to be earned by that point. We want them to be actively engaging and trying to earn those chapter degrees. And so we work to do that. And we do that about November. And so we try to make sure that those things are checked off, but we serve cake that says, congratulations, Green Hands. We try to provide an opportunity for those 9th graders to feel the love, but also to get involved and get invested. And then we turn all the lights off and we hire a DJ and they play the disco ball. And the kids have said that that is one of the funnest things. And even the older kids, they love it because they get to dance, they get to pick the music, and we just kind of supervise their good time. And so that has made many miles for us too, taking that, because it used to be an actual ceremony, which no one wants to listen to that ceremony. If you've read it in the book, that used to be the way we did it. And then an officer team said, Mrs. H, this is terrible. Can we fix it? And so this is what they fixed it to. And the kids have loved it. And we've made many miles with our freshmen and our motivation of our freshmen with an activity like that. And then also the blue jacket application, I was going to make note of that for 8th grade and 9th graders. If you can get them an FFA jacket and get their name on it, and it has Lawton or whatever school, it gives them a sense of belonging, and they want to wear that thing. They want to be a part. They want to say, hey, I belong there. And in Lawton, we have fortunate or unfortunate, however you want to look at it, kids need a place to belong here. And that gives them an opportunity to do that, because we're not athletics if you're, if you don't hit all of the pieces to play 5A football and 6A, it's just different. And so it gives them a place to belong. And so we have found if we can get them an FFA jacket, they want to wear those things. They want to go with us. They want to be a part. And also too, we have been fortunate to be able to help students pay to go places. To camps, to MFE, to ALD, to all of those places that require an exuberant amount of money sometimes. We have been fortunate as an FFA chapter to be able to help pay for that stuff. And if you can, I think we've gotten miles out of that as well. If they can go and see what some of this stuff is about and other FFA members, I think the motivation is just exciting for them. And so we've helped half, full, it just depends on the situation. And so I think that's something for students if they come. And I've always told my students, if you want to go somewhere or you want to do something, please don't let money ever be an issue on that. And so we've really extended that and pushed that for our students. But I just tell them, you have to come tell me because I'm not a mind reader. So really push that out there if your chapter is capable and able to do that financially to help those students that may not be invested otherwise or can't invest otherwise. I've got about 5 minutes left, and I wanted to talk a little bit about our CDE and our LDE teams and how we use that and how I use that in my classroom. One, we've had some really, really fortunate success in a few areas in AgCom and food science at Lawton on the state and national level. And so we have created some students that have come up through the ranks that want to be on those teams. I kind of think of those as legacy teams. They think that that is what they need to do. And so that has created some momentum and some motivation for our students. And so I would tell you to find something that you like to do. AgCom is what I like to do, and find some students that like to do it too. And so if you can find some of those students that like it, they can train the younger ones. Our success has been because we've had students that have taken a hold of some of those CDE teams and really helped push the younger generations to be great ones when they got to be seniors. And so that has really helped us. But I also let our students create teams. So I put all the options up on a whiteboard and say, these are all the options. If you've got something you love, I want you to find 3 friends. I'll print you the rules. We'll figure something out. Even if I don't know, maybe I'll call somebody to find out. But it allows those students to really work for something that interests them. And so as teachers, we're supposed to be always learning. So what does it hurt to let students do something that maybe we've never done before? Maybe they're going to have to take the lead. And I'm super honest with my students. When we create something that I've never worked with before, I'm going to tell them, hey, I don't know everything about this. I'm going to try to find people that do know, but this is something you like to do. If you want to do horse judging, that's what we will do. But I need you to find people that want to do it with you. First, that brings friends to their table. And it also allows them to take that leadership role to work for something. And so we've had several successful teams. Now they're not probably state dominating teams, but they have had success in their own area. They've worked towards something. They've been successful. They've studied. They've worked. They've had an opportunity to be successful. And those students are what transpose into students that are motivated, and they find their friends and motivate them. And so we try to start little and build. And it's been, I was going to say, I've been here, this starts year number 7 for me at Lawton. And so it's been definitely it's changed hands. It's worked. But motivation is something that's really hard for me. Sometimes I get discouraged. So I hope that some of these ideas, and feel free to call. I didn't put together a PowerPoint or anything to hand out today. I was just trying to fill you with some information. But if there's something that I can help you with or questions that you have, please don't hesitate to call me. I can give you my cell phone number, email me. However, Mason knows how to get a hold of me if you don't know how to get a hold of me. But feel free to reach out. I'll be happy to answer any questions about anything. Motivation being one, but I can been around a little while. So if you need some help, please ask. I think I'm done. Did I make time? All right.
That's awesome. A lot of really great ideas, Lindsay. I really appreciate that. And I think it transitions really well to our last presentation. And so I really appreciate that. And our next presentation is Mr. Robbie Branscombe from Stillwater, who's going to talk about other ways, a really unique and special way to get students involved in some of those competitive events that Lindsay kind of described as well. And so I'm looking forward to this as well. So I'll hand it off to you, Mr. Branscombe.
Okay, yeah, Lindsay, that tied in perfectly. That was awesome. So today I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about CDEs and how to recruit students to get on CDE teams. We're a little unique here at Stillwater in that I only teach 8th and 9th grade students. So about 3/4 of the students I get in every year have never been in ag class before. They're brand new to the program. And if you guys think about your back to school meetings, we throw a lot of stuff at our students and our parents. And we have our own little FFA ag teacher language that blows the minds of students. So this is kind of what our back to school bash goes. Well, welcome to FFA. As part of my 8th grade class, you have to have a CDE, but if you look at the state laws, by law, you have to have an SAE. 2 weeks after school starts, we're going to register you for MFE. So be sure to bring your money for that. And pretty soon we're going to start buying pigs so we can nominate those for OIE. See all of these letters and students' eyes and parents' eyes just completely glaze over. We throw a whole lot at them. And so I know when you teach those younger classes, you kind of have to pick and choose what you want to focus on. What areas do you want to push? And it doesn't mean you limit their opportunities. When we talk about CDs, I really want to echo what Lindsay said. Don't be that ag teacher that runs 1 to 2 CD teams every year. Don't be that ag teacher that says, well, here we do livestock judging and we do meats judging. And those are our things. And if you don't like them, we don't do milk judging. We're not Napoleon Dynamite. Okay, so offering those options is really important. So I'm going to talk about a few creative ways that we've been able to get student buy-in and get them started with CDs. Now, I've taught at a small school, Oilton, my first 3 years. This is my 5th year at Stillwater, which is a large 6A school. And this is definitely not a one-size-fits-all thing. I think what I did at Stillwater, I couldn't have done at Oilton. So kind of take these different aspects of how I teach it and then find what fits well for your program. And so a big program that we do here at Stillwater is an event called the CDE Fair. And what I really like about it, and it kind of ties back to some of the stuff with Officer Retreat, is we really let our officers run the program. And so FFA is a student-led organization. I believe in class, I should be the one in charge. I kind of dictate where we go. But FFA, while I'm advising students, they should be guiding the direction that we go as a chapter. And the CDE Fair that we put on completely puts them in that position where they pretty much decide what CDE team Stillwater is going to have next year. And as an ag teacher, I really don't. And so, but it all starts in the classroom. So I'm going to start by talking about what I did in my classroom, especially at Oilton, and teaching CDEs to students. So like I said, you kind of have to pick what you focus on. And every single student that takes my 8th grade ag class, their 2 big requirements are they have to have a CDE team and they have to do an agri-science research project. We don't even talk about SAEs, which anyone from the State Department, cover your ears. We don't even talk about SAEs because we throw so much at them. Now, every student does a research project in my class. So bingo, SAE. They log those on AET. They have a strong SAE, but they might not even realize they do. But we really focus on CDs, and we start those early in the year. I can't stress that enough. When you start CDs with students, you want to be recruiting them in September so that maybe you can start practices in October, November. And we all want to win, but it's not just about winning. Imagine starting a livestock judging or a Parley Pro team and you start practicing in January or February. We've probably been guilty of that before. Not only are we not going to win, but when that student 2 months into practice goes to a contest and picks up a Parley Pro card or has to come up with a set of reasons to judges, that's going to be a really probably a humiliating experience for them. And they're probably not going to want to do this again. And so you want to start early. And so we start 3 weeks into the school year. I teach in 8th grade CD units. So we spend 3 weeks covering CDs. And Mason just shared the link to my Google presentation. That is the PowerPoint that I used in class last year. So each day we cover 3 to 5 little CDs in class. And students get up and they participate in small versions. So for example, I bring the garlicky, salty milk and students have to drink it. And we talk about milk products, and that weans so many of them out. Food science and technology, those little vials that you can buy online, well worth the cost. Those students get so competitive over trying to guess what scent comes out of those vials. We take them down to the barn and put together a class of sheep or goats or whatever we have and let them judge that class. For public speaking, we have a tongue twister competition. They have to get in front of the class and see who can say a tongue twister the fastest. And it just kind of leads them into really small components of those CDs. Now, at the end of that 3-week unit, they have to pick a CD to do for my class. Now, they don't have to be on the team. They don't have to compete or anything like that. But they have to focus on that CD and study it during the year. And I would say probably about a quarter of my 8th graders, we have 75 8th graders each year. I would say maybe a quarter of them or a third of them actually will be on a team. But I think what I really like about doing those CDs in class, it gives students ownership of their learning experience. So Monday through Thursday, I decide what we do in class. I decide the units that we're covering. Friday is CD Friday. And on Friday, those students break into groups, and it's organized. It's not go off and memorize a speech kind of deal. But on Friday, I'm going to give you a task to go with your CD. So I may share a video with you on a class of breeding heifers, and you have to give me a set of reasons. Or the ag mechanics students, I give you sticky notes and 25 items from the tool ID, and they have to go put those sticky notes on each one of those tools and identify them for me. Something like that. And I think that's really good because a lot of students that take your class, they might come into ag with a preconceived notion of what they want to do, ag mechanics, animal science, whatever it is. And this gives them some ownership on that. And so I think that's a really good way to get started. Now, that's just for my 8th graders. Now, for the rest of the FFA members and the 8th graders included, we do a thing called the CD fair. So it starts at officer retreat. We talk to our officers about what CDs do you want to see happen in this chapter this year? What are some new teams that you might want to add? Maybe you want to start a milk judging team. Maybe you want to start a meat judging team. We've never had one before. Okay, that's great. Now you are responsible, not me. You are responsible for recruiting your team members. And we set a minimum at 5. So the normal 4 team members, 5 students have to sign up for that team or we're not going to have that team at all. Because one thing I've learned, if we have 4 students, one year I had 4 students on a vet science team, that's the minimum that we can have. 1 student would never come to practice. What am I going to do? I'm not going to remove her because if I do, now we don't have a team. And so breeding that competition among students. And so these students at our CD fair, we do this about mid-September. It's a come and go event in our livestock arena. Let's say it's from 6 to 7:30. And we'll have 15 to 20 tables set up around the arena. And each table represents a CD station, and it's ran mostly by an FFA member. And it's just a short version of that contest. And that is that student's opportunity to try to recruit people to join their team. And sometimes it's a lot of fun to watch. And the example that I have is I had a student last year, a sophomore officer, and he wanted a milk judging team so bad. And I did not, I'll be honest, did not want a milk judging team. That contest is very unique. And so I told him, it is all up to you. If you can recruit a team, then we'll do it. And so he hounded everybody in the chapter. He popped his head in my 8th grade classes. I'm pretty sure he sent messages to people on Snapchat and text them. He was hounding everybody about it. He had an awesome table set up with like the cheeses and all the nasty milk. And this is CD fairs in mid-September, and it's like 90 degrees in our livestock arena, so you can just imagine. But he had 6 kids sign up for the CD team. And so we had a milk judging team because he recruited that. And so that gives those students ownership. Sometimes it's not successful. Sometimes you're going to have that one kid in the chapter that wants to do a team and nobody else wants to do it. And rather than shoot them down yourselves, give them the opportunity to see that it's not going to work out. So another example, I had a student that was on our poultry judging team 2 years ago, lost everybody on his team. He still wanted to do poultry judging. So I gave him the same ultimatum. So he set up a booth at our CD fair, reached out to kids, 0 people in the chapter outside of him. We have 250 members. Not a single one other than him wanted to do poultry judging, which selfishly I was kind of disappointed. But that worked because he realized, instead of me shooting him down, he realized that, hey, I can't get any teammates. No one really wants to do this. And so I can look at other options if I want, but that's just not going to work out. Another important thing, and I can't stress this enough, get some coaches for your teams. Don't let the fact that you don't know anything about a contest limit you from offering that. And so this year we had students that wanted to bring back a meat judging team. Of the 3 ag teachers at Stillwater, none of us really know anything about meat judging. One student volunteered her dad. He was a butcher, meat processor for 20 years, and he volunteered to be their coach. Now, all I do as an ag teacher is organize the practice times, sit in the back of the room, and I learned so much. I really did learn a lot about meat judging this year that I knew nothing about before. But the greatest thing is, especially if you're in a single teacher program, if you have to put together 4 or 5 CD team practices a week, that's exhausting. That takes more work than the actual practice. I didn't have to do any work ahead of time. I just showed up and watched, and it wasn't an extra stress or burden on me as an ag teacher. And so, and we invite those coaches to come set up booths at our CD fair as well. And so that gives opportunity for the parents or the students to meet the coaches. And some of these that offer scholarships like livestock judging or horse judging, maybe to talk to them about those opportunities. And then I do send an email through our gradebook to every single parent in the chapter, and we really want to invite our parents to the CD fair as well. One thing it does is it really opens the eyes of our new parents that we're a very diverse organization, that we offer so many opportunities to our kids, that we're not just a welding, showing animals chapter, but that they can do lots of things. And also, you can see it in the parents' eyes that even sometimes the kid's not really into it, and the parent wants their kid to join a CD team so bad because they think it's cool. And so getting those parents to come to the CD fair. It's a come and go event. So if we have it from 6 to 7:30, some students will show up and they'll be there the whole time, and they'll go through every single station, and they'll do it very slowly. Other students will come in, they'll go to the vet science table, they'll try it out, they'll say, yep, I want to do that. Put their name on the paper and leave, and they were there 5 minutes. Your juniors and seniors who have been on the same team for the last 3 years, maybe they don't even show up. It's not really for them, right? It's to recruit new students to this. And so that's kind of what we do. Now, one thing I do to tie this into my class, and this is, a lot of you may consider this bribing, but I offer the CD fair the night before we wrap up our CDE unit in class with 8th graders, and the next day I give them a test. It's a matching test. It has the names of the CDs and the descriptions beside it, and they have to match them. If you come to my CDE fair, you don't have to take a test the next day. It's kind of bribing, but at the same time, I think they learn a lot more by coming to an event than they do by taking a paper and pen test. This is so student-led. If we have 15 booths, 2 of them might be ran by the teachers. The other 13 are ran by students. And so this puts this all in their hands. I can tell you, for some of you at small schools, that may not be possible. When I was at Oilton, there's no way we could have pulled that off. And so what I did was I had a week of those CD fairs in class, and 8th graders through seniors, we did that in class all week, and they tried out the different CDEs, and we went that direction. So maybe that's something you do until you can kind of build up on that. Let's see, I think there was 1 or 2 things I was forgetting there. Okay, yeah, the last big thing I have for you is we're all looking at virtual options, right? Some of us, we don't know what this year holds. We may not see our students the first semester. I think CDEs are a great way to go into this semester, because when we do distance learning, students are not motivated. It's harder to connect, especially if they're students we don't know. We've never met them, and we're trying to connect to them virtually. If you can get them on a CDE, even if it's not a team, and give them a project or 2 each week, go to Walmart and take pictures of 5 cuts of beef, send the primals to me and the cooking methods of those, something like that, and let them control what they're learning, even when everything else due to COVID is beyond their control. I think that that's really a good way to get kids in. And so for me, I know creating my syllabus for this year, my 8th and 9th grade classes are going to have a heavy focus on CDs, just because it gives those students projects that they can work on outside of school. So that's what I've got, Mason.
Awesome. Thank you, Robbie. I really appreciate it. This was really great. I'm excited. All of the presentations have me motivated to get busy and get to work on FFA planning, and hope you all feel the same way. As we close, a couple of things I wanted to mention. We're going to send a follow-up email, but I'm also in the chat right now just about to drop a link to a survey you can take to help kind of respond and give us some more information and evaluate these sessions so that we can help them make improvements for future sessions. I appreciate everybody participating. If you had any other specific questions, there is a little bit of time. Now would be a time to maybe try and reach out to those teachers. Also, if you'd rather ask those at a later time, you can reach out to me. I can get you emails to these presenters, whatever the case may be. But any of you 4 presenters, we could open it back up. If there's anything else you wanted to add, we really want to go fast, but that was the biggest thing I wanted to mention, was that we want to make sure you all got a chance to connect with these 4 presenters. So Brianna, you have one? I can't hear. Brianna, we can't hear you. I don't know if you had a question or not. There is one question for Robbie that Cameron put in the chat, and then we can all see. Have you experienced any burnout starting 8th graders on CDEs? How do you recommend trying to avoid overloading, causing them to be burnt out by, like, say, junior or senior year? You can read that, Robbie, and if you want to respond to that, that'd be something we'd love to hear about.
Yeah, Cameron, that's a good question, because I feel like we have ran into that. Sometimes going from, there's been lots of teams that will have 1 year and we won't have them the next year. And so I do think that's a big issue. I guess the biggest thing to me is giving those students a leadership role. So for that sophomore boy that started the milk judging team, we had it as an 8th grader and he was more of maybe a follower, and then giving them that role where they kind of get to step up as an official team captain and kind of lead those younger kids. I think that leadership helps. But the issue is, the harder we push students at things, we do see burnout. So I don't have a great answer for that one. That's a really tough thing to face.
Okay, thanks. Cassie just sent, will we share the recording and resources? Yes, that's going to be in that follow-up email. And so that Google Drive folder, as well as the link to watch the video, is going to be all in that follow-up email, and then also a link to take that survey if you didn't get a chance to take that. And we'll try to include as much useful resources as we can as we go forward. And I do want to remind everyone about tomorrow. We have another session this week, and that is related to agricultural mechanics for all those that are teaching that or want to teach it even in your early age group classes for 8th and 9th grade. There's going to be a lot of relevant information that's going to be shared tomorrow at 1 p.m. So if you have open time for that, go ahead and register, and the information is also going to be in that Google Drive folder for all of our upcoming sessions. Any other questions? I think with it being a couple minutes past 2 o'clock, I just want to say once again, thank you to all of these presentations and all of our teachers for sharing their knowledge, their expertise. That's what it's about. I love teacher-led professional development, and so I really appreciate everybody volunteering their time. And if you have any questions that you didn't get answered, you can funnel those through me or reach out to these presenters at a later time. But with that, I think we're going to go ahead and close. All right. Thanks, everybody.